I don't think that you and I don't think that Mike gets enough credit for revolutionizing the game to where it is today. You know, they always talk about players. They talk about how transcendent a player can be. You know, Magic and Bird and, Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe and Michael and Steph Curry and all, yourself. I don't think that you and, first of all, your style of play, how you and D'Antoni mirrored so easily to transcend the game. That is the game today.
Yeah.
You guys were before his time, the true essence of before his time.
Well, I think it was right at the right time because the rules were changing too. So you couldn't have two hands on a guy anymore. You know, when I came in the league, you could literally hold a guy's hip and chuck him.
The old Derek Harper.
100%. Just stuck. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this, right? I mean, you go across the lane, bam. It was different, and that was the traditional way the game was played. That physicality. You know, the league, I think, wisely wanted to make it a more free-flowing, open, highlight the athleticism, which, we're going to talk about it later, where that's taken us and how we got here, which I think is amazing. So, you think about it. We were small. There's rim protectors. You got Timmy, you got Shaq, you got all these guys around. We didn't have that.
Right.
But we did have Amari, who has unbelievable feet and hands and athleticism. So how can we cope defensively not being a rim protection team by, one, being different, switching more, trying to find ways to junk up the game in that respect. And on the offensive side, how can we blow teams away? And so it was an amazing time for me in a sense because I think I had just taken my game, my skills, my confidence to a new level, and then Mike opened the floor up and let me play. But again, it was a precursor because we hadn't fully committed as a league, right? We hadn't committed totally to three ball. We hadn't committed totally to the analytics at all.
No, for sure. I mean, they talked about you guys. Why 7 seconds or less? Why you guys got to get up the floor so fast? Let things develop.
Sure.
Or why you guys are playing 4 out, 1 in? It's not the league what it is today or at that time. And so, it was kind of they didn't. It's always that it gets to that point when has not been done before. And but it was always respected because of and feared.
Yeah.
That was one of the things you knew you had to get a good night's rest before playing y'all.
Yeah.
Because if you ain't ready to run, you're gonna get your ass ran out of the gym.
It's nice of you to say that, but I think I remember we started the year 31-5 or something, and I think what we noticed is by the fourth quarter, teams were done. A lot of times teams were done. They the relentless pace after makes getting it out, and I'm just going and happy to throw ahead or happy just to take it, or if it's semi-transition or secondary break, we're straight into our drag action. We're spreading the floor, we're getting to it against the defense that's trying to get back. So as the game wears on and we're relentless with that, I think that was as much a precursor because that's the part maybe we don't talk about as much as that relentless need. Now, our teams actually slowed down a little after that first year. So much so that I think even that first year, we'd be a bottom team in pace nowadays. So that's one of the things we were thought of as the 7 seconds left playing with this crazy pace. Not even close to the way it's played today, right? Not even close. So I think we were a precursor. I think there's an influence there. I think a lot more teams started to say, I don't have a Timmy, I don't have a Shaq. I got a guy that can kind of protect the rim. He's not skilled, so he hurts us in other ways. So how can we find? And so what's happened is the profile of height and players has gone like this. I think while today's game, offensively, I would have been even better. Defensively, would have been harder. It's hard for small guards in today's game. Anyone, unless you're a big 6'3", 6'3" and under, it's hard because the court is spread so far. You have to cover guys in space. There's less small players out there. You got to cover guys that are bigger, stronger, spacing. 5 out, rim rollers, whatever it may be, you're on attack at all times. And that position too, you can try to hide and guard the 2 or the 3 or whatever on certain teams, but it's becoming harder and harder to do that because of the amount of shooting, the amount of length. There's always someone out there that can drive a closeout on good teams nowadays that are like the fourth option.